the fear and alarm. You did not desert me, my brothers at arms. So many different worlds, so many different suns, and we have just one world, but we live in different ones. The sun's gone to hell, moon riding high. Let me bid you farewell. Every man has to die. It's written in the starlight. We're fools to make war on our brothers in arms.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Dave.
I'm David Solomon with Qobuz. This is the absolute best part of my job because for, I don't know, 30 years or so, I was like moving stuff like this and pulling out my O-ring when I picked up one of those and hurting my back when I picked up one of those and this. I don't have to do any of that stuff anymore now. These days I judge systems by their poundage, by their weight, right? And I figure I'm driving about maybe a 3,000 pound system here that just blows me away. But I didn't have to touch one stick of it. So to the guys that do this, my hat is off to you all. This is, I got to know Mick or Thence. He owns the company about 20 years ago, and I walked into his shop. Bill Pugh told me to go in. He said, "You're not going to believe what this guy can do." I walk into his shop, and it's like one of the best setups I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it was like goosebumps on everything. I could tell he was like really, really into it. So when I asked to do a flash DJ session on this system, I never even listened to it. I heard it briefly yesterday. But there was one thing that I absolutely knew was going to be right, and that was going to be the setup, because these guys don't stop until they have this thing right. And if you think these bad boys are easy to set up, you're incorrect. If you want to get a set of something like this, get somebody like Mick and Patrick, and get those guys in your house and let them set up, because I tried to set up a pair of the real small ones about 10 years ago, and I could not get these things to sound right. They just didn't work. And I don't know what I was doing wrong. So I got one of the really, really experienced Wilson guys. He came into my room. He literally moved these speakers a few millimeters, and all of a sudden they just came alive. So don't think if you just get a great pair of speakers, you're going to have a great setup like the Diaga stuff. Don't think it's just the Diaga sound stuff. It's just going to sound great. If you're not a super professional at this or really, really good, get some of these guys that have been doing this stuff all of their life. They live and breathe music. They know what to listen for. I'm going to be playing you a few tunes today that I've put on a playlist because hopefully there's stuff that you haven't really heard before. I really want to introduce you to new stuff and let you know that there's some great new stuff out, but I also want to show you how good old recordings sound. I'm not talking about like kind of old recordings like in the,
70s, 80s. I'm talking about 50s, 60s. Some of the stuff that was recorded back then, some of the classical and jazz that was recorded in this area, you have to literally, if you're a music lover and you pick up Qobuz, you're going to have to pinch yourself because you're going, in my case, wow, there's another album I spent $60 on that was, that was high res, and the only reason I bought it is because it was something I loved and it was high res. And this stuff used to be crazy expensive. Now you can get all of these. Every recording I ever bought is on Qobuz in high res, and you get it for about $11 a month. If you don't have to pinch yourself every time you open this program up, you don't deserve it, and go back to Spotify, because we are so privileged in this day and age that we don't have to stream 320 kilobits per second Bluetooth quality like Spotify. We can go all the way up to like over 9,500 kilobits per second, or if you translate that into resolution, you're looking at over a 192 kilobit per second signal. We've got this for free. We've got this stuff that people were doing on Napster 20 years ago with that crap that they called music that was so hardly compressed. We've now got that all in full resolution, straight from the studios, exactly like you should be hearing it. And some of the differences between the 16-bit, 1644 recordings and the 24-bit recordings are like night and day. But I do want to let you know something. A number is just a number, and we are dealing with record companies here. Some of these record companies and some of these executives are just total assholes. And the only reason they'll even release something in high res is because they're going to make more money on it. But this is going to give